Well, hello again. Today, the footage is actually going to be a little bit of footage from the 7th and a little bit of, and a fair amount of footage from the 9th. I ran out of light. I didn't get a good start on the day for the 7th, but I had to start with working on trying to fix what I thought was the problem with the rear axle making a clinking noise. I found that some of these bolts that hold the backhoe frame were were loose, and so I thought that was what was allowing it to shift and make the noise. But unfortunately, I discovered that it was in fact not. I also discovered that these are not actually assembled in a way that keeps them secure, so it actually allows them to come loose. Um, they've got a split lock washer, which is designed to bind into the nut and the material that you're tightening together, so it prevents it from coming loose. But when they assembled it, they put a flat washer between the frame and the split washer, so it actually allows it to just spin freely, which doesn't work at all. So we'll get a couple pictures of that, but I took a few of those and reversed them to try and see if I could get them to stay tight. I also put some thread locker on them just to, again, double check and make sure that they're staying tight. And then we'll throw it together and we'll head up onto the hill and get some work done. One of the nice parts about having a backhoe, and when we do upgrade this tractor to a bigger tractor that does not have a backhoe, I will actually miss that the hydraulic jack that it comes with. But you can see here, this is what I found, and neither one of these is actually tight. In fact, the one on the right has come quite a bit loose. That unfortunately did not, however, solve the issue that I'm running into. Um, Overall, it was pretty simple to fix. It was just these two. The rest of them, I checked on. They were all they all looked like they were correct or tight. So I pulled these two out, and then had to double check. I wanted to double check to make sure that the threads weren't damaged at all. If they were, I would have replaced these, but they look really well maintained. I mean, it doesn't look like there's any damage to them, so I went ahead and reused them in that particular instance. So I'll have to keep trying to figure out what that sound is, and then this is what I was talking about. So that flat washer behind the split washer makes it so that what the split washer is going to bind to, if it starts to come undone, just spins. Um, so it doesn't actually prevent anything from turning, which is what the split washer is supposed to do. So that's kind of a silly thing for them to have done. But I did get a little bit of work done that night after I got all of that put back together, and this fall sunlight is kind of killing me. I've started like yesterday. I ended up taking a long lunch and going up and spending a couple of hours during the early afternoon working on cutting up the trees that I've been pushing over and piling up, so I can get them out of the way and finish the dirt work. I'm hoping to get a couple hours today and see if I can't get that at least done to the point where I can get the dirt work roughed in, basically. But I'm up against a clock here because it's supposed to rain over an inch tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and then basically rain every day for the foreseeable future. So whatever I get done today, will actually be pretty much what I get done for the winter. Um, and these are some pictures of our little kitties, but I don't actually know why they are popping up in my footage. They are at the end of the video. So that was kind of weird. Huh. Curious to know how the program ended up doing that. um, so this is the 9th. This is the next day that I was able to get up there, and I'm just going through and doing some cleanup and continuing on with the digging, trying to get some of the branches and things out of the way that have broken off from pushing over all of the other trees. And I was kind of trying to make a pile so that I could come back through later and use the chains to try and wrap around them. And it kind of worked. It took a little finagling. But then I can get these bigger log pieces just kind of out of the way. And I'm running out of space to keep working here. So let's see here. So this blue circle, this is the pile that I need to get out of the way because I need to be able to make this ramp come down in a way that will allow the truck to drive up the driveway and then back up this ramp on the right hand side. So I need to get all of those trees there, which when I put them there, I didn't realize how long this ramp would actually need to be. So that was a little bit of a challenge to try and figure out. So I'm just trying to get them bucked up, and I'm like I mentioned in a previous video a couple days ago, I'm planning to hopefully use some of that to build just a shed so that I can have a place to keep lumber dry as I mill and work on things. And so I'm starting with like the base of a tree. If it's over 12 inches in diameter, then I'm cutting like a 16-foot log, which by the way is heavy. That's a big log, 16 feet by 12 plus inches. And then if it's still big enough at the end of that 16 inches that it's over 10 inches, then I'll cut a 12-foot log, and then I cut 8-foot log sections out of the rest of it, so that I can hopefully use those for building a 12 by 16 shed, or a couple of them. If I get enough that are actually sufficient and usable, then that would be super nice. The reason I want a really thick 16-foot long log is because that I'd like to do a 12 by 16 shed that has the 16-foot wide wall open. That way I'll have an easier time being able to get in access with the tractor to put pallets of milled lumber and whatever. So at the moment there's another fairly big sized tree, and this one was actually one of the thicker. I think this is one of the 3 thickest trees that I ended up taking down, and it really fought quite a bit. So I ended up using the bucket here to scoop out a lot of the loose dirt and gain access, and then was able to then obviously push it over with the bucket, which It didn't want to move at all when I was trying to dig it with the backhoe. It wasn't one of the tallest trees though, but it was definitely one of the thicker ones. So that one's already been cut up and is one of the I've got one of the 16-foot logs out of that. So going forward, video recording might decrease because there are fewer and fewer things that I'm able to work on as I'm out there in the rain, and I've got a lot of projects that still need doing, but we're kind of getting to the point where the ability to do the stuff for free is diminishing. One of the next projects that we are planning on doing is filling the floor cavity in the spare room with foam, with insulation. And to do that, we'll have to pull everything out that's in there and then pull the subfloor up. And I need to figure out how the best way of getting all of those boards to the same thickness is. I have the thought to try and plane them all to the same thickness, but they're fairly big boards. I mean, they're roughly 2 inches thick. Most of them are 8 to 12 inches wide, and they are 8 to 12 feet long. Actually, some of since they're all diagonals, the longer ones are all about 12 and a half feet. So that'll be a little bit complicated. I'm contemplating if it would be too risky to try and put them back on the bandsaw mill and shave them down, or if I should just rent like a big floor sander for a day and just spend a day killing my arms pulling a floor sander around. I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but we got to get the insulation first. I've been trying to research different insulation companies and the different products that they have. The one that I think I'm most likely going to go with is Energy Efficient Solutions. They have a kit for a little over $700 that will do 600 square feet of coverage with 1 inch thick foam. So that one kit is almost enough to do the entire floor cavity. And it might actually, I calculated that there's 224 square feet of floor in the spare room, but that is not taking out the space filled up by the floor joists. So that might actually be closer to 200. But even at 224, that works out to be that it'll provide almost 3 inches of foam. So I figure I can do at least 2/3 of the floor. So if I do the bedroom section and the office section, then I can put those floors down, get them all sanded smooth, and then start actually using it. We can start framing up the walls at that point for the windows, and I think I'm going to run a brace through the middle of the wall just so that I can have 4-foot sections of wall panels where I need to, instead of always having to do 8-foot sections. I think that'll give me a little bit more flexibility, and it'll allow me to utilize more of the lumber from a lot of these alder trees. That's what most of these are going to go towards, is being milled into 1 inch thick slabs, and then once they're dry I can plane them down to about 3/4 of an inch I think is the end goal, and I'll make some form of tongue and groove or shiplap system for joining them, and then use those for the flooring and the siding on the inside of the spare room. I think I'm going to do ash for the floor and alder for the walls and cottonwood for the ceiling. But I'm not entirely set on that, so that might be rearranged. Who knows? A lot of that'll depend on what what I actually have that's dry, because right now my little pallet method for for storing the lumber after it's been milled is working, but it doesn't work the greatest once the rain really starts to come. So we'll see. We'll see. I might be trying to build a pavilion shed somewhere on the property in the rain, just to make sure that it actually gets built. But yeah, anyway, so now that I've got those couple of trees pushed over, the goal here is to just keep moving the dirt, keep gaining access, and if I had paid a little bit more attention to what I needed, I wouldn't have dug quite so far into the hill right here. I ended up having to just dump a lot of fill back over this area for some of it, but on the plus side, by scooping that out the way I was just doing, A, it gave me access to the tree here, but B, it also allowed me to get rid of most of the roots and the loose material. But you can see here my practice all summer long was to just drag the trees over here out of the way and then push them up and stack them. And that actually worked pretty well. They have lost a lot of their water weight over the summer. They actually have dried pretty well over there. As I've been cutting into them, I've been rather surprised at how much drier they actually are. But they're still in the way, so we'll see if I can get that done. I was hoping actually to get the electrical conduit and water line laid going up the hill before it rains, but at this point I'm afraid that's just not going to happen. There's just not enough hours in the day and too many things going on. But it is what it is, and that's okay. So right now I'm just this particular spot is one of the spots where I had already figured out where level was going to be, and so I'm just taking the tractor to try and push that and get started on the ramp now. And then the ramp itself didn't actually take too long, all things considered. So if I'm lucky, then maybe I'll be able to get this done today, to at least get the all of the rough dirt work done, and then I can start bringing up gravel. But these are the photos that I was surprised it showed up earlier. So what we're seeing here, this is obviously the spare room, And there's a spot in the corner up there where I hadn't finished the trim, and I didn't actually realize that if you're on the inside, you can actually climb up onto the rafter, and if you're small enough, you can climb down the rafter and actually get out of the spare room. So the kittens discovered this, and then discovered that they could escape from the spare room, and because the tree there is only a couple of feet away from the roof, they discovered next that they could actually jump from the roof to the tree and then climb down the tree to get out, which was kind of funny. So this is Bean, and he is currently sitting here behind my shoulders on the back of the bench, which has turned out to be one of his favorite spots to just lounge, which is kind of fun. He's become a little bit of my office buddy. Our older cat, Kernigan, she has mixed feelings. She doesn't like them being in her space, but she doesn't actually go out of her way to do anything but hiss at them. She doesn't raise her heckles, she doesn't puff her tail, she doesn't lay her ears flat, and as far as I can tell, she actually hasn't used her claws. But she does swipe at them, and she does try to get them to leave her space, so we're hoping she'll get used to having them and accept that they're going to be here. But this is why Bean got his namesake. Emily was looking at his back one day and thought that looked like a upside down coffee bean, and so his name became Bean. But that's where we'll end the footage for today. So as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. God bless you and yours, and I hope you're able to stay safe out there.